Downhill skiing came to the Lehigh Valley in 1962, when local businessman and owner of Kramer's Music House in Allentown, Frederick Kramer III, opened Apple Hill Ski Area in an apple orchard he had purchased 10 miles outside downtown Allentown. A T-bar and rope tows were installed to carry skiers up the modest slopes, where they would then ski through rows of apple trees. At the bottom, a classic A-frame lodge was constructed, complete with European flair, a full ski shop and ski rentals, and a picture window where guests could watch skiers descend from around the stylish, mid-century modern fireplace. Snowmaking was installed as well, seemingly a forward-looking decision, but a necessity in southeast Pennsylvania. Apple Hill would become something of a mecca for ski enthusiasts in the Lehigh Valley during the 60s and 70s. The ski area hosted a popular ski school, and many would make their first turns here, learning to ski on the short 200 vertical feet of hillside. But despite all their early investments, Apple Hill's limited size ultimately could not compete with the expanding operations of larger ski areas in the region. Their last ski season will be 1977-1978, after which the area became abandoned, which it remains today. Hey everybody, this is Avery Zucco, and welcome to another Lost Ski Area tour. This time I'm at Apple Hill, outside Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I was really excited to do this, to make this video, because this ski area is just such a perfect time capsule of 60s, 70s era skiing. Because it closed in 78, and it was built in 62, it was never like modernized. All the original structures are still there as they were built in the early 60s. You can see the lodge out there on the right. We'll get to that later. But it's really just a treat to go through this place because it's like I said, it's a time capsule. So this is the bottom of the T-bar. Off to the left there, you see that little shack, and that is the bottom of, there was the drive to, and the loading area for a rope tow right there. There's a beginner rope tow parallel to the T-bar. And so this is the drive house for the T-bar, which is the main lift for this area. I'm not 100% certain on the manufacturer of this T-bar. I believe it was, or as per some recommendations on the internet, I believe it's a Hall. I'm not totally certain on that. And even though this place has been sitting abandoned for 40 years, there's just a lot remaining. These are all the components of the T-bar, of the actual bars. These are the cross bars for the T-bar. You can see some of the grips there on the ground, and a lot of snowmaking hose as well. And the whole drive house has this great steep pitched roof, which is just another great like vintage aesthetic piece of the ski area. And the loading area would have been right here. The lift shack is over on the right there. It's collapsed. And this is looking up the T-bar line. The haul rope is still present. And then this is starting up the T-bar line, which is very overgrown. So that whole hillside would have been cleared over to the left there, and it has had a lot of time to grow in over the years. And that slope, which is to our left now, would have been the advanced slope down from the top. There are really only two ways down from the top. The advanced slope, and then further to our left, there was like an intermediate trail that kind of wound around the side. And you can see just how grown in this is. That is the second T-bar tower. And I think that's the third T-bar tower. And this is the middle of that advanced slope. And it's just, you can see how overgrown it's become. Now this structure, I'm not 100% sure what this was. I think it was part of the pump system for the snowmaking. That's what it looks. That's what it looks to me to be anyway. Although I'm not 100% sure. I know they did have snowmaking. They had a primitive snowmaking system, but they did have it, and I think that's what this was part of the pump system. But if you have a better idea, if you know what this was, leave that in the comments. I'd love to know what this was. And now this is up towards the top of the advanced slope, looking up the T-bar line. And the top of the T-bar line would have, for all intents and purposes, that was kind of the top of the ski area. It was maybe about 200-ish, maybe a little bit more vertical feet. You can see the light poles up on the top of this field. The whole area was an apple orchard as well. All the apple trees are gone at this point. It's just an open field now. And if you look at that tree line out to the left there, you can see some of the overgrown light poles out there too. And that may have been another tow line for an upper hill rope tow. Some of the comments on the internet seem to suggest that there was another rope tow that went up, like maybe you can kind of see behind the top terminal of the T-bar that the hill goes up a little bit more, maybe like 20 vertical feet more. And there was another rope tow that you could take that took you up there. So basically you got off the T-bar. This would have been about the unloading area for the T-bar. You would have skated over to the top of the hill, which is pretty much flat, to the other rope tow, and then the other rope tow would have taken you up the rest of the way. So this is the return terminal for the T-bar here. And that other rope tow, from what I understand, it didn't operate very much or for very long, because it didn't really give you access to anything. And that's looking out towards the top of the hill, where the top of that other rope tow would have ended in that line of trees. And you can see the lighting. The lighting, the whole area was lit. And there are light poles all over the place. You'll find them all through the woods here. And you'll find the wires for them as well. So this is back at the base area. I'm going to check out the beginner area before I check out the lodge. You can kind of see, that's the front window of the lodge. It has that kind of A-frame design. It's like a classic 60s lodge. But over next to the lodge here was the beginner area, sort of in these trees. And one of the things I actually noticed is on this light pole there is a loudspeaker. Well, I guess they had a PA system, or they had they played music, like they put their radio on. And this is the lift shack for one of the rope tows, the beginner rope tows. This one's fallen over. And there were like 2 rope tow lines here. I think one of them went from like this clump of trees out towards the lodge. And then there was another one here that it looks like, just judging by the orientation of the foundation here, it went kind of up the hill. And you can kind of see where the beginner area was on old aerial photographs. And it would have kind of gone up through the trees here, and then you would have sort of skied back down into the field. Now, so this is the intermediate trail from the top. This is looking down towards the lodge. And so this started up by the T-bar, and then you kind of skied over the top of the hill, or skated over the top of the hill, and then you went down around the steeper pitch, which was out in front. So this was like the easier, mellower way down. You're looking up towards the top of the advanced hill there. More light poles. You can see them all over. They're just dotted everywhere. And so this is up towards the top of that intermediate trail. So it kind of just curves around here to the left. And this is some of the remains of the snowmaking system. I found a couple of these. There's these hydrants that would have been for the snowmaking system. They're pretty primitive. They're really small. But then again, it was an early snowmaking system. Okay, so now this is the lodge. This was the ski shop. So on the basement level of the lodge, there was a rental and ski shop. This would have been the shop. And I think the rentals were behind to the left. So I think back there were the ski rentals, I think. I'm not totally sure. It looks like there were boot racks back there. But I didn't have a light with me, so I didn't really go check it out too thoroughly. And this went upstairs. A lot of broken glass in this place. It's been thoroughly vandalized. But the bones are still there. You can still tell what the area must have, what this lodge must have felt like. And I gotta say, I really think this must have been an amazing place when it was in operation. This lodge is just fantastic. This has got such a great mid-century ski aesthetic to it. There are not a lot of lodges like this left. It is a shame that this one is sitting in the state that it's in. It reminds me a little bit of, if you've ever been to Platkill, New York, it reminds me a little bit of that. It's got the wood paneling. It's got the conical fireplace. That is just so like mid-century 60s. And it must have been just a blast to sit around here and watch people come down the hill. And so this concludes my tour of Apple Hill Ski Area outside Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you have any information or any memories skiing at Apple Hill, I encourage you to leave those down in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.